This is SamDoesArt, one of the more influential artists of our day and age. He is known for his bright and stylized art, mainly focused around girls, surrounded by pretty aesthetic sceneries, with highly eye-catching color palettes. He's been hitting it big on videos about TikTok these past few years, especially with his rating tutorials and pause art challenge. And the latter is the reason we are here today. November 9th of 2024, he uploaded a video challenging all of his community to participate in this challenge, hinting it wouldn't be an easy one, especially some specific options. So I decided to accept the challenge, also giving it a twist of our own. This is how it works. Sam uploaded a video to his social media where there's a simplified human model. Its characteristics will change in a loop with 6 different categories: skin, eyes, hair, clothes, eye color, and accessories. I must stop one time for each section to see what I got and then put them all together in one character. Those are the basics, then it's total freedom. But to me, this seemed like an easy challenge, so I decided to add 2 new rules of my own. No reference whatsoever, and finish it as fast as possible, until I'm satisfied with the result. Oh, and by the way, I know this challenge is supposed to be more of a creative exercise than a hard one, so I don't recommend adding these rules of mine. With all of that out of the way, let's see what happened. I got hit with the black and white skin from the get-go, which I didn't like all that much, since the lack of color variation would be a bit of an issue. Nothing too serious though, I could still do something interesting with it. Also I was on a call with a friend who, upon listening to my reaction, suggested I reset the challenge. But I refused. Whatever I got, I would do. For the second category, the eyes, I got some sharp ones. I liked this a lot because I felt like they would be interesting and go well with pretty much everything. Now, here's the problem: the hair. The result was the curly braided option, and as soon as I saw it, I screamed in pain. I suspect I might have bursted my friend's eardrums. For those who might not know the reason for my reaction, it is because that kind of hair is the most difficult to simplify in shapes, due to the amount of small detail it has. To put it in another way, it's the hair equivalent of getting a plate armor for clothes. Which is funny because the next section it's clothes. And if I got the armor, everything would turn sour for me. Remember, I was supposed to do this with no references. So with my whole body tense up, I paused and I got one of the most aesthetic and easy to execute options I could have gotten. A type of samurai kimono with one sleeve only. Also, the color scheme was black and white once again, like the skin, which helped a lot. I move on to the next category, the eye colors. To be honest, you can't go wrong with any of these, so I paused without a worrying and got purple as the result. And now to finish up, accessories. This one is pretty dangerous, because it can either help you tremendously or completely fuck everything up. I paused and I showed basically the best option I could have wished for what I already had. An Asian fox mask and a red umbrella. I think it's easy to see why this is such a good result. The white mask goes well with the skin and the black and white outfit. The red is another color that works really well with the purple of the eyes. Same with the clothes and the Asian touches. So thankful that I didn't get the armor, I jumped right into it. I started with the head, since it was going to be the most important part of the piece, and it's the thing I'm most comfortable with. Also, knowing I wouldn't use reference, I had to play it by the book and stay within my comfort zone to avoid extra complications. I made the eyes trying to emulate the shapes I had gotten, which I followed with the eyebrows, nose, and lips. With the face already posed, I traced some faint lines to define the shoulders direction and the body mass, adding some clothes folds, and finally the chest. Next, I started working on the hair, and you will see. Here I don't start right out with the braids. I'm only doing curly hair. This is because I forgot. My friend reminded me of the fact later, but we will get to it. After the hair, I focused on the fox mask, staying true to the prompt's design because without reference, it would be too hard to come up with a new design. Then I added the last element, the umbrella, and I put it in this position on purpose. I will explain why when we get to the colors. Having done the sketch and the overall composition of the different elements, I lowered the opacity and started polishing it so that the drawing improved. I paid more attention to every stroke and thought out the shapes carefully. I adjusted some parts like the jaw and the nose, and I added details such as the bumps in her hair caused by the curls. As I was working on that, my friend saw the drawing and told me about the braids I had forgotten. I threw my hands at my head. I didn't know why I completely forgot about it, but I really liked the shape I had drawn by then, and if the hair was to be braided, it wouldn't make sense to keep that shape the same. So I made the executive decision to braid the hair only at the top of the head, so I could keep the shape I liked so much. After fixing that, I kept refining some details. For example, I tried to emulate the girl's sharp eyes in the mask after my friend's recommendation. I thought it was a good idea. Then I followed with the umbrella, and I must say straight lines are my Achilles heel. I have a bad pulse. Once I was happy with the drawing, I moved on to the color. I did something here I should do more often. I drew with the colors I wanted to use already in mind. I knew which color to apply for the background, which is the first thing I will paint. Yellow, and there's a reason for it. Yellow has a big contrast with purple, and the red and the orange will act as a bridge between those two. After a slight discussion with my friend about whether or not the yellow I had chosen was actually yellow or a greenish yellow, I actually changed it to check, and it was in fact a little on the green side, so I fixed it. I started painting the character with a neutral gray, so then when I applied the colors, it would be an easy task. Slowly but surely I added the corresponding gray tones, and fun fact, the skin isn't actually gray. It has a bit of an undertone, so it's a bit more interesting. Quick tip: anytime you paint gray, black or white in a drawing with other colors, add a bit of the surrounding colors to them. It will make them blend better and also more interesting to see. Alright, once the colors are down, it's time for the usually longest part, the render. I started off with some pretty simple shadows in a multiply layer with low opacity. I used a dark desaturated purple to add some variation to the color. Then I coated the umbrella in darkness, and here the explanation as why I had put it in that position. I could benefit from adding a backlight, so that the red would taint the light and I could play more with the colors. I also like the idea of adding a translucent effect to the umbrella. It makes the color scale more appealing. From here onwards, it's merely a matter of polishing everything, like for example adding variation to the background, adjusting some of the face's features, and further detailing the hair. Also focus on cleaning up the lines as much as I can. I amplified the lights and shadows since they were kinda flat, and I improved the shape of the mask and the eyes. To be honest, the render, which isn't exactly simple, can get really boring, so I won't expand upon this part too much. So, this is the final result. What do you think? I like it quite a lot considering I didn't use any reference, and that it only took me 3 hours to finish. Obviously, it would have been way better with more time and references. I also used a style of render I hadn't used in a while, and to be honest, it's funny how even after all this time without using it, I improved all the same. But anyway, to wrap it up, I have followed Sam for, at the very least, 5 years, and his art, along with his first videos, helped me a lot with my first steps in digital art, since I started toying with it around those times. I remember seeing his drawings and watching his time lapses trying to absorb as much knowledge as possible. And by the way, before trying digital, I had to spend a lot of time drawing with nothing but a pencil and a paper. Well, sometimes I use a pen. In a way, it makes me nostalgic seeing how far I've come and improved, something myself from the past didn't see. What I want to say is, I'm glad I never abandoned this path. Anyway, sending hugs to everyone, and I hope you like it. Bye!